Hello, I'm Sam from Sound on Sound magazine. I'm at the Superbooth show in Berlin with Paul from DinSync. Hey, Paul.
Hello again.
And we are standing in front of a RE808 rhythm composer. Now, I just have no idea what this thing's based on, Matt. What is it?
It's a cornflakes box. No, really, that's a bit of a joke, inside joke, that one. But really what it is, it's a recreation of the 808 down to a T. Basically, like we did with the 303 and the 99 a couple of years ago, we've just moved on to this machine because it has to be done. It's so beautiful. It's purely analog. All the layout inside is the same. Of course, we're making spare parts, so you can, if you've got an old busted 808 now, you can repair it. And we got the jacks, the original old sort of weird old style phone jacks, really strong and rugged, like 40-year-old sort of technology. Big chunky switches, you know. It's lovely. It's just huge metal. You know, it's a drum machine. It's the drum machine. The drum machine, isn't it? Is it not?
This must have been a labour of love for you. You must have spent countless hours doing this.
Well, as you know, I don't do this alone. We've got a whole bunch of people involved in these, including Rafe from Michigan Synthworks. We've got Philip, who did a lot of the hardware PCB on this. The main thing that we have done here, the real sort of milestone, is everyone else for years has been cloning these circuits. We're not just cloning the circuits, we're now taking the digital. What we did, we took a TR-808, we took the CPU from this, we put it onto an Arduino board, hooked it up to a computer, and essentially hacked it to dump the code, the operating system. This is what Philip done. We did this kind of remotely because he's based in Portugal, so it was like an overnight thing. And it was quite, without getting too technical, it was quite an achievement. No one had ever done anything like this before. And we'd actually discovered this method from other people in the MAME scene, the arcade emulator scene, because they're really into these dumping chips and extracting them and preserving them. And most of the time, you have to actually take the chip out and do some acetate and reduce it and scan the gates and digitally pull them in. It's not such a long-winded process, but to do it digitally with actually preserving the CPU without killing it, and then we can take that onto our Pixie platform, and when you play it, it actually thinks it's an 808.
And how much of a difference does that make to the actual sound of the unit?
To the sound, you're getting the original player. So you're getting the original nuance. All this so-called groove and 808 swing, it's here. All this is the 808, essentially. I mean, because basically we're running it through an emulation platform. We're running the original operating system. It thinks it's an 808, and the power behind it is about 20 times faster than the original chip. So there's no sort of lag or overlay, processor underruns or anything like that. It's just totally on the money. So when you switch it on, it thinks it's an 808. You've got all the 808 features, all the good stuff and all the bad stuff. So, you have to switch to write mode to play mode, you have to stop start it. All that stuff is there. We've also now, because we're running it on a layer, we can now give it Midi Control. We have a sort of secret Midi menu, if you like. You set to a press, it's basically a breakpoint in the code. And we come out to a menu, we can control the voices from Midi, and we can actually clock it from Midi. And we have now made a 7-pin connector. So if you've got a DinSync cable, plug it in. If you want to use a MIDI, you just plug our cable in, and then you can use a MIDI. There's no extra cables, no extra holes in the box. You don't lose your aesthetic. We've also done away with the power supply, because the original power supply is actually it's a 40-year-old design, probably designed in the middle of the 70s. And we've got a power supply designed by Michigan Synthworks that basically is a DC plug, so we can actually disconnect the power cord. Okay, it's on a wall wart, but it's actually fine. Because the original 808 didn't have a detachable cord, and that's a pain in the arse if you're going on stage. And that's what these things are about. Either you can repair your machines, or you can take them on stage guilt-free without thinking, oh my God, there goes my investment, my car, because they're so expensive today, the originals. But this is the next best thing.
And you've gone to great lengths to find switches and buttons and...
Well, a lot of the plastic we've had to recreate, we've had to redo the molds, all the tooling, which is quite expensive. But there's a demand, so we met the demand, basically.
Wonderful. And how soon is this likely to be available?
It's already been available for about 6 months. It's basic kit form. There is no machine to buy. You can have somebody build one for you, but we recommend Comptronics.com. They're our partners. They actually manufacture the cases, so they can probably get a better price than anyone on a build. But they're the only people we're currently recommending for all our stuff, because we're in partnership, and we base our reputation on their quality. So, and we completely stand behind their work. So they're 100% perfect.
And if I get them to build one for me, how much is it likely to cost me?
I actually don't know. I should know that, but probably for a 909 or an 808, it's around 1,900 euros with tax, but a full warranty. I mean, it's not some guy in a shed. It's actually a business.
But so for the fraction of a price of a real 808 or 909, you're getting a new 808 or 909 with MIDI.
With MIDI as well, and sorry, MIDI to voice. But I mean, for us, we're DinSync, so we're not actually that worried about MIDI. But I think it's great because people do like to have MIDI, and often you have to have an external sync box, and you've got to hook this up. And it's, if you want to play it on stage, it's just an extra thing to bring, an extra power supply, extra 2 cables. This you can just plug it in, press a secret, bucky, and then you get to the secret menu, which is for the MIDI would be. If I remember correctly, it's that one. Now I'm in a secret mode. This is basically MIDI clock in or out. If I disable that, it will still be in DinSync mode. But yeah, so as you see, but that's underlined. That actually doesn't affect the playback because you can't do both. You're not doing both. Syncing US, that's fine. But I'm talking about if you're MIDI triggering a voice, I don't actually know if you could actually sync it as well. That's the technical thing. But basically, yeah, it's a nice extra. But it's the only real upgrade that we've done.
Amazing. Well, I'm hoping you're going to give us a quick blast on it.
All right, let's go.